Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first rating show of the year. Hope you're all doing well. I have finally unclenched, defrosted, thawed out. It's taken me 2 full days, but I finally feel like the sun came up again and felt the warmth on my face. How are you all feeling? I know there's definite still some anger floating around and a lot of resigning of the season that I'm seeing in the Essendon fandom. But it is just round one. That's not to say that we don't have some more tough, big losses coming up, because I suspect we do. But I think we do need the perspective that it's just round one and we do get round two to put up a better show. Quick hello to everyone here. Richard, yes, I feel you. This is what this show is. And my co-host tonight, he's like a big cuddle. So we will hold you and everyone together. Hello, Brett. Hope you're doing well. Jeremy, is the lid off this live stream? Well, I think Pom has some opinions, put it that way. And they're good. They're really good. We went through some stats today that told a bit of a different story to some of the more obvious ones. So I'm going to make sure Pom brings up a few of those. Hello, Shaky. We could probably knock this over in about 3 minutes. Yeah, true. I mean, if you asked me, I was just going to give Ben McKay 350 Twix and be done with it. But I've promised, I've made a commitment to everyone and to Pom, and we're going to see it through. So without further ado, how are you, Pom?
Hey, I'm good. Look, at least one of our sides won this week. So doing the rewatch of this wasn't as torturous as if we'd done it last week. Like, I'm so glad.
Did you win? Did you really win?
Look, I'll be honest. It wasn't one of them great. Let's put it this way. I'm not making a DVD of that one and bringing it out on a rainy day. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we did it this week, though. I'm glad this wasn't round zero, because I don't think I would have had anything nice to say or anything left to give. But yeah, tough watch this one, isn't it, Bombers fans? It was, it's hard, isn't it? Because you spend 3 months getting excited, the belief starts to build. You want to see something, don't you? Because I know this sounds weird. You kind of have like a one-sided relationship with your football club, don't you? Because you miss them. So you kind of want them to show that they miss you by performing well. And
I've never thought it like that.
Yeah, and this is like, we've gone away from 3 months and our partner hasn't even kissed us on the forehead. They've just gone, I'm off out with my mates. See you later. And you just put your suitcase down and you just sat in the living room.
Depressing. That is so depressing. But that is exactly what it feels like. I felt like I was ignored. And I've been sending love letters for 3 months. And I feel like they're all unopened in the suitcase. And then I was just walked past. That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
Hello, Tush.
I just wanted Archie Roberts to show me some love. That was all I wanted. And he doesn't know I exist. So, good game. Quality.
I haven't officially a Tush, but I'm hoping that the vast amount of exposure that this chocolate bar is going to get over the next 24 weeks is going to put out to the universe, and they can come to me. But anyway, okay. So you did this watch along, Pom. How did the watch along go?
From the first quarter was quite entertaining. I thought Essendon weren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but Hawthorn don't look very confident, do they? Especially after round zero. So I was kind of thinking, hang about here. If Essendon can ask the question, Hawthorn have that doubt. Disappointing round zero for them. This could be interesting. I mean, I always judge a watch along by how often we talk about football. And to be honest, in the second half, we were talking about what's your favourite movie, who was your first crush.
No. Oh no! Yeah, that's a bad sign.
What's your favourite dessert?
That's a bad sign.
It was trying to talk about anything but poor Essendon, because it was a very poor showing by the boys, it has to be said.
Yeah, particularly that second half when it appeared that it was very lack of effort based. I have said ad nauseum that I don't know whether it's the effort or a system that's not allowing effort to blossom and actually happen without extreme fatigue or just in a really difficult way. Do you feel like you're any the wiser in terms of that question in regards to the Bombers?
I work a bit differently to most. I never ever praise effort because I just find effort is expected. So
yeah,
them words never leave my wife like my mouth. Good effort, because I believe you should give 110% effort in everything you do. So especially if you're being paid for it. But I would say watching it, I would, like I said to you earlier on the phone, I think it's 70% system, setup, planning, all that. 30% players, but of that 30% of players, I would say it's 90% the guys I am expecting to lead Essendon Football Club by example and be the main people. And I always see that's a worry. Same with Carlton as well. When you're over 25s, the guys that are meant to be setting the standard and executing to their standard, you can't blame an 18-year-old for not executing because they're looking up to these people. The old guys shouldn't be looking up to the young guys. They should be setting the ring. So it's a bit of a mess at the minute. And we're going to try and get to the bottom of it and hopefully give the answers that the club will fix.
And not offend too many on the way, right?
I don't care about that. But you do.
I know you do.
So we'll do our best.
Okay. All right, everyone. Hey, Adam. Welcome to the show. Yep. Ads agrees with you, Pom. Deja vu, the second half was like watching us in opening round. Yep. All right. Let's get to
it. Doggies fans, if you want a rating show, can you call me? I'd like to review a game.
Yes.
That's really nice.
The Dogs or Geelong, just a team that just gets it done and just brings a lot of joy.
Yeah, just do a rating show that's pure vibes. That would be awesome.
This is so true. All right, let's get to it. We're going to start everyone with the mids and the ruck. I have a big feeling there's going to be a lot of zeros tonight. So here are the rules, actually, before we move on. The rules are Pommy and I are both giving every player a 0 to 5 point, or so it can be a 0, a 1, a 5, no halves. And then at the end, we're each going to have a 0.5 bonus point to give and distribute to any player. And chat, we would like your contribution and sway us on who you think the bonus 0.5 should go to. So without further ado, Pom, let's start with our, let's say, Ruckman, Sol Ruckman in Lockie Blackiston. He battled all night. He's one, I know you don't like to discuss effort, but he's one for mine that 100% could tell that battled right to the end. It wasn't fake effort either. He was really, really trying to have an impact. But in the end, Lloyd Meek was in some really, really good form and probably had the better of him.
This was a fascinating battle because everyone at the start of the game told me how good Ned Reeves was, how that's his ruck to lose. Lloyd Meek.
Sorry, did I say Meek or Reeves?
No, you were right. Because
sorry, I meant Reeves. For some reason,
all the Hawthorn fans were telling me that Reeves is going to take over Meek's job. Watch him. He's young. He's athletic. I watched this game and I thought Blackiston was the perfect hybrid between Meeky and Reeves. And the only thing that went against him was some of them handballs, wasn't it? Like some of them handballs were borderline. They were war criminal-esque, to be fair. But aside from that, I really enjoyed what he brought. I enjoyed his second and third efforts, considering this guy's not a native ruckman as well. And one thing I like, I won't talk about effort, but I think if you're a mid-season draftee or you're a lucky player to be in the team like Blackiston is, he's there because of injuries and he took his opportunity. I think you're always one step of working at Bunnings if you're these types of players. So what I like to see is players fight for their lives. I thought Blackiston didn't have the refinement of Meek. He didn't have the hype of Reeves, but he gave me everything he could. And I would say, ultimately, in my heart of hearts, I thought he broke even in that ruck battle. I wouldn't say Meek destroyed him, and I wouldn't say Reeves did. Apart from, at the end of the day, people will look at the stats. Reeves also went forward. I thought Blackiston, for a guy that is probably his first time rucking in AFL level 90% of the game, I enjoyed what I saw. So well done, Lockie. That was a tough job. Tough job against two senior AFL ruckmen. Yeah,
I agree. I think he had a tough night, but yeah, good one, Wayne. Bunning stuff always there for support. Yep, 100%. I agree, Pom, with what you said. I think his second efforts are always going to be something that impressed me, because I'm not really used to that in a ruckman. His athleticism and his mobility is very impressive, but it's his instinctive follow-up post the tap that I think is impressive. So for me, I think I probably would give him a 2. What's your look,
I'm happy rating? To rise. I've been a little bit harsh on my ratings. You know what? I'll join you on the 2 as well. I'll join you. Okay.
Jeez, don't go going soft on me now that we're live.
No, you're going to lead me here, because I'll be honest. These guys would have to beg me for a Twix. Like they have to knock on the door and apologise to me.
We'll see how we go.
And maybe I'd give them a Twix. But 2 is fair out of 5, definitely. I gave him 1, but I will give him 2.
Out of 5, Blake. Okay,
thinking you gave him 1. All right. I'll give him more.
Okay. All right, now this next guy is where you and I disagree on, isn't it, Pom? In Sam Durham. We saw his game very differently and read kind of his stat sheet very differently. So I was probably less enamored with him than you were. Can you you did a good job at kind of convincing me over the line a little bit earlier today, but for anybody who kind of saw Sam Durham a bit through my lens like I did, in that he had more of a poorer game than better game. Well, how did you say it?
I would love to sit Brad Scott down over a cup of tea. He can have a mocker or whatever he has, and ask him what was his thinking at quarter time. Because in the first quarter, seeing him split on the ball, I know what Sam Durham's going to give me. Seeing him forward, though, Blake Hardwick and Weddle didn't know what to do with him, because he's that awkward size. He's physical. When our entries were a little bit too shallow, he made it really good. And he ended up with them goals, looked a constant threat. I understood that Scott wanted the ascendancy in the middle and control and whatever else he wants to talk about. But I hate it when coaches take what was working and then sacrifice it to try and fix something that's not working at the detriment of the only one wood you had. And I thought Dozer was fantastic in that first quarter, because some of them entries were about 10 metres too shallow and he feasted on it. Then they ruined the momentum. Second quarter, they tried to stem the bleeding. It just didn't. I know, and I said this to you on the phone, I can close my eyes, and when I see Merrett, Durham, Caldwell at the ball, I know what's going to happen. And I've seen it 1,000 times. I don't need to see it 1,001. I felt this was a weird change-up for me, because I felt the only way you could win this game was Durham do that for 4 quarters. Be a nuisance. And they couldn't work it out. And I felt when they moved him further away on the ball, back onto the ball, Weddle then didn't have to defend. And that's Weddle's big weakness, right? He likes going forward. He doesn't like being accountable. I felt he brought Weddle in, and it played into Hawthorn's hands, and just under 80 points off the back half of the ground.
Yeah.
That's a big part of losing this game.
Yeah, I agree. I can't get out of my, it's almost like the lack of defensiveness from the mids is overshadowing in my head the good that they did, which is probably not rational. In fact, it's not rational at all. But I feel like, and he had mates, don't get me wrong, and we'll get to them obviously next up and after. But I just feel like some of the efforts that I watched behind the play, and you know, it's overshadowing that first quarter for me. And I get what you're saying in terms of leaving forward. So would you have played him majority forward then for the rest of the game?
I think his first quarter was the perfect. I mean, I'd love to have sat into the tactical meeting because I was watching you with Brad talk about this game, right?
Yep.
And he kept saying midfield wise we're one paced and we're useless. The week before, GWS overrun them with their points of difference. They were constantly on the back foot. Why you would go with a flat-footed preference in the centre, Caldwell, Merrett, and then put Durham in a more defensive negating role against a team that doesn't want pace, is mind-boggling to me because it just made it very easy for him. So, yeah, I mean, I thought first quarter was perfect for him. That's how I want to see him. Spurt in there when you need him, be a nuisance forward of the ball.
Interesting. Or maybe a bit more on the outside because he's one that actually has speed. He's the one that has the speed out of the four of them. So maybe a bit more on the outside. Blake, you're absolutely correct. Defensiveness is nuanced. When I say defensiveness, I mean in transition. I don't mean laying tackles, etc. So you're right. I should have specified. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So in that regard, you're focusing more on what he could have done forward. So, but that was one quarter, right? That he did that, and I guess it's not his fault that he was moved out of the forward line or didn't rest up forward a bit more. But he also did, had to impress the rest of the game and still kind of put in the rest of the game. So, based on that, what is the score you're giving him?
He gets a full Twix bar 2 for me.
Okay.
Because he was one of the few that I enjoyed.
Okay. I have him as a 1. So sorry. That could be harsh, but these midfield points are not going to look good from my point of view. Buckle in for that. All right, let's get to the next hombre in Jai Caldwell, one of my personal faves. And as Blake said, a great defensive, still lay the most tackles for us. But same issue for me around the ground in transition.
See, this is where it makes the Durham going back on the ball mind-boggling to me, because the one thing that I know about Jai Caldwell, apart from his absolute phenomenal skincare routine, is how strong he is defensively. I know week in, week out, he's going to get 5, 6, 7 tackles. He's going to be hard to get past. He's going to be hard to beat, right? I really enjoy that. And all the other football clubs that play good football have one of these guys, and then the rest chip in. It's a detriment, though, I think, to this great football club that the next best tackler in Essendon's football team after Caldwell is Blackiston, McGrath, and then Dyson Sharp. Like, Hawthorn spread their tackles throughout their midfield, and that's a detriment where it is. So Durham, Parish, Sharp, McGrath, and Blackiston all on 4 tackles.
Yep.
Caldwell leads the way. Now, I love Jai Caldwell. He is what you get, though, for me. He is what you get. I don't see him as a kind of guy that I'm looking at that's going to tear open a game. Couple of issues I have with him, though, that Jai Caldwell, with his skill set, has to hit every handball, has to hit everything he does, right? So outside of the tackling, you've got to do the rest. You are the premium on-baller. And I don't think he did enough. Outside of the tackles, which should have been easy, it was one-way traffic for one part. I felt like he gave me nothing outside of that, which for a man of his ability, this is what I said at the start of the show, the older guys I'm looking at to stand up, be counted, lead this football club into the next dynasty. I felt like Jai Caldwell just did enough of what he wanted to do and not the exciting stuff that I need him to do.
Agree. And this is probably my issue with the mids, is because, especially with Durham and Caldwell, the 2 midfielders I'm referring to specifically here, is I know that they have greater levels to reach. And it was uncharacteristic of both of them, some of the efforts that I saw from them. So that's why I'm so disappointed and rating them quite harshly. And Caldwell falls into that category. So what are you giving him?
None.
None. Okay, I'm also giving him a 1. Now, this next guy, he probably, well, not probably, was the best of an ordinary bunch. I think, even though he had, I think, five clangers, 66% disposal efficiency. He didn't use the ball brilliantly, but he certainly was the one who was running two ways the most. Wasn't perfect, but he didn't drop in his intent for mine. And I mentioned in one of the reviews I did that I loved his body language. I never thought I'd be saying that about Zach Merrett. And some of the body language, some of his interactions with the players, I thought when Fiorini and Huss kicked their goal late in the game, when their energy was zapped from the crowd, from the players, and they didn't get the reception and the celebration that Dyson Sharp did at the start of the game. I thought that Zach Merrett went to both of them with excitement and enthusiasm and energy, and those things matter. When Jaden Nguyen and Huss were getting bullied by Hawthorn players, Zach Merrett was there. And I've called him out before in terms of that part of his game and that side of his game, but I thought it was a completely different energy from him. So for that, I'm giving him full credit.
We'll come on to my worst on ground in a minute, but I was watching Zach Merrett, and it was all, if you told me, and I'd never watched this game before, this was my first game, that Zach Merrett had only walked through the door at the start of preseason, I would have believed you, because the only one who looked like he had any resemblance of what he was doing, of his role in that midfield structure, and his role around stoppage particularly, it felt like the other midfield hadn't even attended the training sessions, because the things he was doing and where he was looking to place the ball, no one was leading to, no one was running in. We talked on the phone about the forward line being congested. The midfield at times felt like everyone was in the same place as well. Like, I was shocked when I looked at the stats and the contested possessions were so low. But then I also remembered that contested possessions count for opposition players. It's not when you're surrounded by your own players. Merrett, I felt for him because I thought he worked incredibly hard, almost tirelessly at times. And when Zach Merrett has one of these games, I'm looking at Darcy Parish, and we'll come on to him in a minute. You've got to maximize that, because Merrett is going to find you. You've got to do the easiest thing in the world, find space.
Yeah.
I felt he was heavily let down. I will also say this. We are talking that he's the best on ground by a mile. Even Zach Merrett couldn't fix this. So that says a lot about where it is. So, good game by him. Shame we didn't have anyone around him.
Yeah, he was definitely the best of the mids, not the best on the ground, but by a fair way was the best of the mids. So I'm giving him a 3 purely because of that low the disposal efficiency, and also because 5 is is perfect score, and I think a 3. How about you, Pom?
I'll join you at 3. I had him at 3. I debated giving a 4, but I feel like it's the wrong message. When
I did too, and I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to give anybody a 4. I couldn't bring anyone to give any of the mids a 4. Anyway, all right. On to the debutant for Essendon in Braden Fiorini. I probably thought he had a better game than some thought and some kind of referred to. I do acknowledge that for his first goal attempt that he kicked and missed, that Zach Johnson was running up the ground for a handball or kick or a pass, and Fiorini went for the goal. But outside of that, you're right, Richard, he has no right foot. But outside of that, I thought he had a pretty good game and showed, like he has, and like we know he does, showed really good leadership throughout the game and tried to really galvanise the leaders on the field as much as he could.
It was a really interesting game, this, because I'm very critical of any club who has over 25s. And Braden, for me, I really enjoyed the fact that he understood the basics of football. Keep your width is number one, particularly if you're getting flooded in the midfield. And I felt for a winger, the second half, we were, I keep saying we, this is what you've done to me. We were obsessed. We were obsessed with joining in, trying to get too involved. And that is that is the biggest disaster. When you can see your pals getting beaten, dragging yourself into the contest means when you win the ball, there's nowhere to go. I also did enjoy, I'm going to give Brad Scott a shout out here, letting him play on the right-hand side of the ground for a guy that can't kick on his opposite is an interesting tactic because the ball is naturally going to go left to right curve inwards, which makes it a little bit harder to defend, particularly that the natural place to defend a winger is on his strong foot, which is usually right-footed on the right, left-footed on the left. Makes it a little bit awkward. I liked his game. Was it brilliant? Absolutely not. It was a traditional winger's game when you lose, that all the winging stats are loose, but there was something there. So I'm going to give him a 1, Twix, because I liked it. It's 1 for what you brought. There needs to be a little bit more application, but I'll forgive him. He's new to the team. So he's going to get used to the dudes around him. But I thought he was very smart in keeping that width. And that was a positive. Him and Dursma were probably the 2 positives, that they were the only 2 that didn't get sucked in.
I wish I could have Dursma on this list, but unfortunately, our very proficient winger, we are playing in the forward line. So he played majority forward, and therefore he is on the forwards list this week. I am hoping he's back on this list this time next week, Pom, but we will see. It also comes to question, why have I got Dyson Sharp on this list when he also didn't play? But he also didn't play too much forward. He was on the bench a bit, but this is his true position. So on this list he is. I thought he was terrific and arguably just simply did not go to more inside contests and more centre bounces.
Yeah, first question here I have massively for Brad Scott is, does he read the scouting reports of his draftees? Because what Dyson does well, incredibly well, and I was his number 1 fan in his draft year, was get to contest after contest, win ball. When I look at and I see midfield stats with players being less than 70% in the midfield, that would suggest to me that you're going to heavily rotate. You're going to be like GWS, keep people quick, spurt them through there, give different looks. I felt Dyson kicked them goals incredibly well, but there is something amazing about Dyson that I don't think would unlock. I think his ability to find players is his strength, his ability to bring players into the game. I felt there was a massive opportunity here, a massive opportunity missed in a midfield that he could get some brownie points very early, see what the level's like. But he's dangerous.
But do you think that's harsh? Do you think that's harsh for a first gamer on a big stage, round 1? You gotta trust in the midfield group that you picked and that looked better on paper. Your experienced midfield group who are healthy, great pre-seasons. I think they plan to just play Sharp. Sharp would have known. Dice would have known that he was playing 58%, 57% game time.
100% he would have done. He would have done, but I don't see the harm in it. Because obviously, as the game proved, Brad Scott has got an on-ball plan.
True. When it started to go wrong, he probably should have kind of seen what he had, the weapon he had on the bench, sitting on the bench for a majority of the time, and actually put him in the guts a bit more.
But as I always say, your fundamentals are written in stone. Your plan to get to them fundamentals should be written in sand. Ergo, it should be able to be shifted quite easy. I felt like this is where you throw him in. You throw him in. And go back to what I said at the start of the show. It was the older players that let down the younger players. I would have loved to have been the coach here, rang Dyson Sharp up, start of the third, 10 minutes in when it was all going Pete Tong, and said, Dice, you've kicked 2 fantastic goals. Love what you're doing. You, Merrett, are on the ball. Yeah. You and Mez are on the ball. Darcy Parish, piss off to half forward. You're not doing anything. And show me why I recruited you. Show me why I recruited you, because I think the big thing about Dyson is he can definitely handle this heat, because that's what he did against seniors and juniors. And if you play the Sandful's tough.
Well, he thrives on it, Pom. He not only can handle it, he actually thrives. He actively thrives on be the big guy in there and give him the responsibility. He loves it. He ain't mucking around. So you're right.
One of my most impressive moments was when they moved Lloyd Meek down the back. Yeah. Lloyd Meek decided to take Dyson Sharp on, and Dyson Sharp was stiff to not get paid holding the ball. It was only at the end that they did pay it. That the video showed it should have been. Yeah. But Dyson Sharp can take anyone. So to me, what you want to do, so like Michael, I agree. Yeah, one pace and flat-footed. But you've also got the issue that when you do win the ball, when you have pace, nothing happens. The ball doesn't get far enough away for it. So Dyson Sharp's not going to improve the pace, but he is going to improve the fact that I had to witness Blackiston, Merrett did it, Durham did it countless times, Caldwell was well guilty of it, of getting that first possession, then handballing it straight into problems, where Dyson's skill set is working in tight, getting it out into space. And for some reason, all three on-ballers couldn't work that out. So I would have liked to have seen Dyson go and do it, mate. Go on. Show these idiots how to play midfield.
Okay, on that, what rating we giving? What Twix? How many Twix?
I'm going to give him 1 Twix for 2 goals. It's hard to give him any more because it's not his bread and butter. But I was very impressed how he took his goals, and I loved his defensive tactical nous.
Yep, and safe to say, the Dyson Sharp reaction after his first goal is what has stopped me crying myself to sleep for 2 nights. So he gets a 1 from me too. All right, on to this next guy. And I know you feel strong, so let it rip. Archie Roberts.
This one is so fascinating to me because Matt Rosa deserves a medal because I think the guys he's recruited are the glaring needs of this football club.
Yeah.
And then you throw him on the ball over 20 times. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, Archie Roberts, my favorite human being in the draft that year. I was watching him and I was just thinking, okay, what is he good at? He's good at threading a pass. He was known for footy IQ.
Inboard, cut the angle. Yeah.
Why are you not giving him the easy ball? And he only had the ball twice in these possessions. In all the possessions, he only had 4 in midfield possessions. So he was there, and there is countless times that he was probably the odd one out at the back of stoppage, where it's a simple handball out the back, let him thread kicks. So this is another thing that really annoys me. Carlton do it. Essendon are horrifically guilty about it. When you don't have any foot speed, the only thing you can do is manufacture that from pace of the ball. One of the quickest ways to manufacture that is by throwing it into a ball user, which I think Essendon are gifted that they've got this. So one of my big issues with Roberts as well, and this is high level now, is the bloke's got no left foot as well. So that is starting to, on the halfback flank, I could tell that their half forwards have done their homework, right?
Easy.
Make sure that you track and stop that because he ain't going to the left-hand side. He doesn't want it. And he turns himself into trouble. So that's another level for Archie to raise up for me. Make sure that that is something you work out because that separates the good from the great. Because it's easy to stop. It's very easy to stop. And it's obvious he avoids that side. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see where we go with Archie Roberts because this is, to me, no one's expecting Essendon to finish top 8. So this is where you start to use your draftees and your young talents with the skills that the senior players lack. Parish can't hit targets like Roberts can. Merrett can't hit targets like Roberts can.
Yeah.
Start showcasing what you've got in the seniors and use the tools to your disposal. And otherwise, it's just going to be potential on paper. So I was quite disappointed with this game from Roberts.
Yeah, I agree. I also just think when things were getting out of hand as well, he spent so much time on the bench. Move him to half back at worst and put Pryor on the bench. Archie Roberts also has the ability to run on the wing if you want to feel that. If you're putting Pryor on a wing, which I think is ridiculous, put Archie on the wing. When he was running and carrying with the ball, you could see his mind ticking over. He likes to create. He likes to take the riskier option. And in a game where, we were imploring the guys to have a bit more flair and take the game on, especially in that third quarter, I thought he was the only one trying to actually create something and cut angles. and use the corridor, but he just didn't see a lot of game time. So I'm giving him a zero, but not really his fault in my head.
Nuffy makes a great point as well. Like just back to that turning that he does to avoid his bad foot. We saw that last year, and maybe I'm naive, but I thought, okay, you see that he's he's second year player. Surely the coaches review that tape and go, look, that is an obvious tell, number one, but number two, that's going to stop you getting to the next level.
Yeah.
So pre-season, you've got what, a good 8-12 weeks. Make him kick on his left. Make him kick on his weak foot the entire time, right? Get him some confidence and building up. What is annoying is I guarantee if we went down to the park now and made him kick with his weak foot, he'd hit the target. So it's more a confidence level in game. My question is, what are the development coaches doing? Saying, if we can just get you to go at 50% with your weak foot, gives you an outlet, gives you an option.
I reckon, see, I think differently. I think that's something he should be taking on his own outside time. I think, being proficient on your other side is kind of in your hands. If you want to take your game to the next level, you don't need a coach to hold your hand and say, let's work on your opposite side. That's something you should be doing to take your game to the next level. Was it Matt Rowell who was the one outside of training would always spend like an extra 2 hours working on his opposite? Maybe not Matt Rowell. Anyway, there was a player who was doing that off his own back. And I think that's one skill set that I think players should be taking on their own responsibility.
100%. But I mean, if I was in Brad Scott's position, I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage in 12 months' time.
Yeah.
I am going to be able to pay my mortgage if Archie Roberts hits the levels he needs to do. So to me, also, yes, it's down to him. But I would also say, where's the coaches pushing it? Like great absolute fantastic comment as well by you there about Blake, about young Sam Mitchell with D'Ambrosia. The levels of detail from Sam Mitchell of knowing what to do, of what your weaknesses are incredibly important. Like there's another story about Connor Nash and him sick of him working defensively and being heavily invested in saying, you've got to learn how to go offensively as well. Like it's all well and good you being defensively strong. I need the attacking phases as well. So coaches, I wonder if
only we had players who needed help offensively. Well, our players need help defensively.
But like to me, that's what preseason's for. You should be 1,000% working on your weaknesses to go in and win. And win regularly. And Archie Roberts, you're not going to be able to hide that your entire career. That's the easiest, the first levels of defending in football is like looking at scouting reports and seeing them. Yeah. Good friend of mine who was a tagger, that was one of the things he used to ask for on his scouting reports. What foot are they? Just so I know which angle to come in and close them down on to take away that angle. So if you know that about Archie, that's 90% of your win. That's quite easy to do. Okay, I'll just come in from this side.
Well, not just Archie, but all players. There are many players who, that when you're studying their tapes and their vision, that's what you look at. Which side do they like to go on? Do they have a real refusal to go on the other side? Can you expose them there? That's how you coach. And certainly that's how they'd be planning against Archie Roberts. So are you giving him a point or is it a 0-2?
Nil point.
Okay. On to the next guy. The one I'm probably most disappointed about. Still, I feel it. Darcy Parish.
Look, if 8-inch Willie with impotence grew,
where is this going?
It would be Darcy Parish's game because God, it looks impressive, but in reality, might as well not be there. And it is really annoying watching Darcy Parish because these are the games for me that I am looking at a man like Darcy Parish. When the first half was going on Essendon's terms or the good moments, Darcy Parish was all about that life. Yeah. When it got hard, though, watching Merrett, Caldwell, and Parish might have been one of the hardest things I've ever seen because I'm like, you can't have it on your own terms. And then part of me thinks, oh, well, maybe Darcy Parish has played for good teams. And then I'm like, no, he's been at Essendon, right? This isn't new to him. And it should be an honour for him to put in. And I felt he couldn't get off that field quick enough. Like I said to you on the phone, I felt like at half time, I'd love to see if he went to his locker room and brought his phone out. Because he must have text Guelphy and said, where are we off after this, brah? Like, about an hour, mate. About an hour, mate. I'm over it. And that's the levels now. Darcy Parish is not, one, good enough, two, has the CV to behave like he's just waiting for the easy ball. He's got to be the standard setter for me of the midfield and Essendon Football Club. And that was incredibly poor from me. I know that Brad Scott pulled Durham onto the ball, pissed Darcy off to the half forward, go, look, go on, mate. Do you see how annoying it is to not get the ball into the half forward line? See if you have fun there with your pretty little blonde locks. Bet you don't. So to me, once you to answer Adam, once you boot up, mate, this is serious. This is professional sport. We ain't playing for sheep stations. There is no excuse. When you sign that contract, I'm not looking about your feelings. I'm looking for output because that's what the club deserves. Darcy Parish, that was not good enough. 2 years, 10 years out. That was not good enough.
Blake, yeah, you nailed it for me. He was good in the first, just not in the second, third, and fourth. And that's the part that's just not good enough. You are one of the more experienced players. You've had the best off season. Your body feels the best. That was self-proclaimed. You've had a great off season. There was really no excuses for some of the efforts. I know he had a very good first quarter, but and not just some of the efforts that you could see on TV, you could only appreciate some of the efforts being at the ground and watching the lapse in intent. I know sometimes as fans we can think it looks lazy or like it's not effort based, but it's so hard to sit there and watch the opposition, that his opponent doing what he should be doing, and it's hard to kind of cop. So it's maybe because the bar is very high for him. That
I don't even think it's very high. Like to me, like, look, I'm a Carlton fan. I'm not Essendon, so you finishing bottom doesn't bother me. But like Adam, like if that's the standard of this great football club, be better than half of the shit Carlton team. Jesus, how I thought Carlton stumped low. How far has Essendon stumped? Like for me, 28 years old, luckless with injury. First quarter, you were singing and dancing. You were taking the game on. You looked like Johnny Big Bollocks. The game got hard, though.
Yeah.
You're telling me that Darcy Parish's fitness and motivation is linked to the scoreboard, is it? I'd say that's more application. I think there was more in Darcy Parish. And at 28 years old, 166 games played, getting to wear a shirt that some people would die to even be on the list, it's not the level I expect from a senior player, unfortunately. And you shouldn't accept it either.
Yeah. So I'm assuming a 0?
Oh, if I could get them back, if I could get... He could pay me Twixes, I'd have 2.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, Langy. Good to see you here. Silly hands. All right, Pom, can you please fill the gap? Because we know my... tech issues.
Hey, look, I'm here for you, Fiona.
Coming to Blake here. I get the next one.
Here for you, Fiona, and the heritage of the football world. But I mean, look, some interesting stats from this game. So while Fiona does this, we'll go into stat corner with Uncle Pom. But interesting enough, right? The only stat on scoring that Essendon did relatively well with, and this is a very interesting Brad Scott conundrum here. G'day, Muzz. How are you, brother? And Healing Heights, good to see you here with Langy. So they were 8th best side from scoring from forward half, with the second least inside 50s in the league. The big problem, some alarming problems though from Scotty, the most conceded scores from transition, the most conceded scores from turnover, and the most conceded scores from defensive half, your own entries inside 50. So this is a real conundrum for Brad Scott here, because you can see what he's trying to do. He wants that ball in there and he wants it pressured, which is the modern day way to play. Some elements, though, that when the turnover is always coming in there, that would always lead to two obvious issues. And we'll get onto the back line very soon. We'll get onto that there. But that's where it starts in the back line. The ball has to move quickly. The ball has to move quickly. That makes your inside 50s better. It makes your transition better. Transition is king in this game. So it's really fascinating when you see them errors that the top teams will risk getting hurt on defensive transition, but they'll also make sure the opportunities are there to lock it in. So from a Brad Scott point of view here, he's got to look at that two-way running, and he's got to look at making that ball do something, because so many data points worry me about Essendon in this game. And me and Fiona were talking about it for about 2 hours today. Like, a lot of issues that you have, Carlton have. They're glaring as well. And it's that exactly what Blake says is modern day football with 2 feet stuck in the past and the old way. It's like they can't. It's like your uncle who just says that everything was better in the 50s. But he just needs to bring himself to 2026. He just needs to taste the coffee. It's okay. You'll be all right. It's all right now. So it's going to be a fascinating one for Essendon, because I actually am different to a lot of you. I actually think when I look at the makeup of your young players, you have got the players required to play modern day football and transitional football. It's about making sure that you use them to their skill sets. And we're now on the defenders, so I can't wait, because I think there is a lot of problems here. Like here, not just defensively, but its ability to turn defense into attack is absolutely cataclysmic, in my opinion, in this backline.
And it was on show so strongly to see, because you have an opposition that are so good at rebounding and so effective rebounding from their D50 that where we fall short in that area, it was glaring. But what wasn't glaring was this first guy's performance. And I literally could not be happier for any human being, any football player, more than this guy. And I'm not going to give him the 5, because 5 is a perfect, absolute perfection, or as close to perfection as you can get. But I tell you what, it was him and then Daylight for best on ground for me. He was sensational. And for the vitriol that he cops online, unfairly, sometimes warranted, don't get me wrong, he's not a perfect human. Nobody is, not a perfect footballer. But I tell you what, Ben McKay was brilliant. And it wasn't just his intercept possessions. 6 of those were in the air, but it was his authority in his positioning. He read the ball really well. He had a couple of matchups down there, took the alternate ruckman when they rested down there. He was on Chol. His body language was good. His leadership was good. He was sticking up for the young babies down there. He just had a close to perfect game for me. So Ben McKay, not that you'd be watching, but well fucking done, because you cop it a lot. And of course you're not getting the chocolates, but you are on this show, but you're not getting the flowers from the media and the Essendon fandom that you should be, because we were so poor. But you're getting the chocolates here, so well done.
Look, I haven't seen a man stand up like this under so much duress since Michael Caine told the Zulus to stop throwing spears at him in the movie Rorke's Rift. Like, phenomenal duress. Phenomenal. Like, this guy was on his own at times. Like, I actually felt sorry for Ben.
Yeah.
Because at times it felt like he had 4 Hawks guys almost tagging him. Like, at times there was Mitch Lewis and Maribor Chol on him, and I can't think of anyone worse, because Chol was a big unit. So I'm with you. I'm going to give him 4 all the way. I think it's hard to get 5 in a loss.
Yeah.
Genuinely stood up. You know, one thing as well, I'd love to speak to the backline coaches, Essendon, because this guy just doing the right thing, playing within his game. I'm very strong one-on-one, and I'm not the world's greatest kicks. So always looking to give that ball off when he won it as well, which was quite impressive. He didn't take weeks to get rid of the ball, which is a positive. Fascinating performance, though, from him.
He worked within his limitations. I think he went at 100% or 98% disposal efficiency. It was close to a very well-rounded game against, and you've got to measure him on the opposition as well. Very good opposition. How quick and fast and hectic was the ball coming in as well to him.
Yeah, 7 handballs out of his 12 touches, which is exactly what you do with a gentleman like this, right? Exactly. You'd say you don't have a kicking license. But what is staggering, 223 meters were gained from his handballs. So who he gave that to, 223 meters was gained from them handballs, which for a man that only had 40
that's
meters
a lot.
gained himself. Yeah, well, that's very impressive. It means he's getting the ball into the right people's hands to get the ball moving forward. So, yeah, this now, very well coached.
This next guy forgot that his body knows how to play football, and he gets a pass mark from me because, as Don so well points out, he's only played 20 games of football, and he would have a giant-sized gremlin sitting on his shoulder at all times, but especially for a first game, big stage. His body has notoriously let him down in the past, so he gets a pass mark from me in terms of needing a bit of a slow burn into AFL football. But he started on Gunston, as I predicted he would. I got shot down a little bit for that, but he started on Gunston, and it was very clear very early that he just was not in sync, not in flow. He was positioned wrong. Gunston is a very good player, granted, but that was getting well out of hand, and we soon moved Redman onto Gunston. So, yeah, I'm going to pretend it didn't happen in a way.
Look, I mean, look, he's an incredible talent, got a very high ceiling, Zach Reid. And only thing I can say, is it not the best lesson in the world to probably play off one of the best players to ever play their position? So,
absolutely.
Look, there's no, thank God there isn't many Jack Gunstons in the league. So,
who do you think he gets against Port this week, Pom? Who do you think they'll send him to this week?
It'd be interesting because, I mean, the most obvious one, should he be available to play, would be would be, I would say, Lukosius has been playing that forward pocket lead-up role.
Okay.
But it'd be interesting if he plays. You'd imagine that Mitchie G, you'd ideally want your best defender on Mitchie
That
G.
worries me. That worries me a little, because Ben McKay's got to go to Lord. I know that. But
so, I mean, this it's going to be fascinating. I mean, if you look, I mean, the perfect matchup for him this week, should they play the same team that they played this week, it would be Jack Whitlock.
Sorry, I do know that Marshall is a defender. I said that yesterday in my preview. I don't know why I called him a forward, but I think it's because today they're talking about his ankle coming up. Sorry, Pom, continue.
Yes, Whitlock would be probably the perfect matchup for him because they're both young bucks. Interesting. Okay. All my port sources are huge that Lukosius has fixed his woes, and once he breaks in the team, look out. But I don't think he'll get in. I mean, it'd be interesting how many changes they make, though, Port, because based on last week, their midfield was rotten. Their forward line was rotten. There wasn't much.
This is a great point. This is a great point from you, Blake. I do remember that. As soon as they put him, who started on him? Do you remember who actually started on him? Was it that they had to move Reid onto him? Because he didn't start on him, did he?
That's I mean, the only problem you've got when it's a centre half forward, which Mitch is that you don't want Ben McKay working high up the ground. That high up the ground. Like, for me, I don't think Ben McKay is going to be as resourceful.
But does Ollie Lord work up the ground? I know he's the ruck. He helps out. He was rucking for
so like Mitch likes to play up high up the ground. He likes to get involved. He likes to so that's the danger when that probably someone with aerobic fitness needs to go with him. So Zach. I mean, it's a great matchup. He's got the previous with him, I suppose. But I mean, look, you also want Zach Reid to get a little bit of confidence as well. So that's going to be fascinating as this game goes.
True. All right, so I'm giving him a 0. I'm assuming you're giving him a 0. Yeah. This next guy is another one on, probably the only one. Oh, no, there might be a couple on this list, but this is one that we kind of see a little bit differently on. Mason Redman. I know you weren't a big fan of his game. I thought with the pressure he was under, I thought he did quite a few nice things, but I see when we spoke today, I fully could see where you're coming from in judging his game, and that is the offense.
Yeah, for me in today's game, if you're getting over 25 touches at halfback, I've got to look at you and go, wow, you're changing the game. You're changing the game. And I don't care if you're winning or losing. This, to me, felt very safe. I got a lot of possessions. 558 meters gained, 26 touches. Not much generated from it. It was a very bog standard game. And this is the one that does make me scratch my head, right? That you bear in mind that the stupidest stat in AFL history is score involvements, because you can get a score involvement just for literally licking the ball to a back pocket who manages to kick it, and then that gets kicked and then there's a goal scored. To see only 3 from there, that worries me. I want to see this player be someone else, to be honest. Your main outlet, the guy that's being the primary ball user down the back half, the guy that everyone is looking for tucked away in the pocket somewhere to try and do something. I didn't like it. I didn't like it because they were safe kicks. You've got to control it. I didn't see any control from Mason Redman in this game, to be honest. People might disagree with me, but exactly 100% disposal efficiency, but it didn't help you out in the backline at all. Like that's
it's easy to get 100% disposal efficiency when A, you're going safe, and B, you're doing a lot of kick-ins. I think the problem is Ridley is the guy who is the best reader of the play that we would have down back there. I would never even call that Redman, but in this game, he probably had to be that guy. And the reason why I probably have him and going to give him some more Twix than you is because I thought in that third quarter, when the energy had dropped and things were really like in a bad way, I thought he was the leader who just tried to take the game on, tried to rebound, at least tried to do something. And I know it's actually, we're in dire straits if just the attempt of doing something is actually getting you brownie points, yeah, I thought he was under a lot of pressure, and I thought he did try and do something and did try and create.
I mean, people have also got to look at as well that Mason's got 2 modes for me, right? He's got the dinky little kick that passes the buck, I like to call it, or he's got the cheat code for disposal efficiency, that absolute ice bomb down the left-hand side. So what I watched from this game is there was 2 options available to Mason Redman. Right? One, that big kick down the line, which indirectly conceded goals because we're hopeless around the fall of the ball. So he gets 100% because he's hit a target, because the AFL like to give out candy for just turning up. It's like statistics that the AFL reveal. Disposal efficiency is the equivalent of getting a good effort award in English. You still can't spell, but you turned up. Well done.
Yep. Okay.
So that really annoys me. And this position, I can't tell you, your halfbacks are everything in the league. Everything in the league. That is where what separates top 4 from 5th to 8th, from 9th to 14th to the bottom 4. It is the halfbacks, the guys that distribute and turn defense into attack. And when your 2 modes are 2000 football of punt the fucker down the left wing or try and chop off too much where we've got a 3-on-2 in the corridor. As I said to you, I felt like if you told me Mason Redman had stuck 10 grand on 25 touches, I would have believed you.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I think he got out of this game. It's got to be better when you're that age.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. And he's another one of the leaders. Well, he is an official leader, but I also wonder if when Ridley's in the team, he gets freed up a bit more, because Ridley will take a lot of kick-ins as well and do a lot of that creating. I don't know. All right. How many points? How many Twix are you giving him?
0.
0. Oof. Harsh. I had 2. I'll stick with the 2. I'm a little less convinced than I was half an hour ago, but I'll stick with the 2. This next guy, the captain, what a difficult game to begin your captaincy.
Tough. Look, I mean, it's tough. You're captain in the team that is incredibly, incredibly steeped in history and pride, and at the minute not doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought McGrath was overrun. And this
to be fair, he had a very difficult task.
He did, but this is where I see, look, Redman, senior player, McGrath, senior player.
Yeah.
Whether it's structure, whether it's movement, whether it's running patterns, you are being paid presumably more than the other clowns around you who are learning their game to be the lieutenant. I didn't see enough talking from McGrath. I didn't see enough talking from Redman. These are two senior players, one incredibly senior. Yeah. He went about his task game and admirably. It was a tough job, but I wasn't wowed by this. Like, I think the difficult thing outside of Ben McKay, I think if everyone's honest here, if you didn't know who they were and you didn't have like some kind of soft spot and love for them because they're your players, I would say it would be hard to rank them in seniority order with the way they performed and the way they handled it. Apart from Ben McKay, like I think they all panicked at times. Tough game though for Andrew. Like probably not the best debut, to be fair.
No, I've got him with a 0. You?
Yeah, look, he didn't do enough. I mean, horrible debut to captain, isn't it? Horrible captain debut.
Very tough. But I'm so happy for McKay. Like just us speaking about him. And again, I reiterate, it is a good opposition. So it's not just some donkey opposition that you can say, oh, it's only West Coast, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'll get over it. Moving on to another young gun who probably didn't see much of the ball in the first half as much as he did in the second, but I thought he really came into himself. And time again, I saw him running and pushing to be an option and to be an extra or an part of the run and carry. He just really probably wasn't used as much as he should have been.
No, I agree. And like Big Blake in there, I love you, Blake. You've put some great comments. Exactly what I said about Redman. If you go back and watch the rating show about Florent, who had identical stats, I believe my quote was, I've seen streakers have more impact than Florent. I was blown away he had that much ball. Not good enough at this level. So like my standards for Carlton, I treat Essendon like my football club. I expect perfect because I want to not be shit. So Zach Johnson, this one blags my head. This like absolutely blags my head. And again, I go back to Matt Rosa brings these players in, right? The recruitment team bring them in. And I was talking to you about this, Fiona. Like I know his Northern Knights coach who used a quote. I'll paraphrase it. It was he has a degree in footyology, right? His IQ, he sees things before they happen. But elite kit, strong two-way runner, right? I watch this and I just think, okay, what are Essendon lacking? We've just bagged Redman, got a boatload of the ball, did sweet F-all with it. Then you've got Zach Johnson in, who is a little bit game. Incredibly good at it. This is what blags my head. Like, because Zach Johnson was more in a negating role, but if you watched any draft, he wasn't a negator. He was a doer. So this is where I come, and me and Fiona had this great discussion. I think the old school mentality, and I told her when I was going through the ranks when I was a kid, was you had to do the shit jobs to get the good jobs. I don't believe in that. You come into the team and I want you to do what you need to do. You do the good shit. You do the good shit that you're really good at, and I'll work on the stuff you don't like to do. This is where I find it mind-boggling that we have pigeonholed Zach Johnson because he'll work hard. But it's not his role. Like, you've only have to watch any draft game he played. This guy is a ball user, and that's where his strength is. You pay some other mug, and we're going to come on to the other mug in a minute, to do his hard work for the benefit he does. So I felt this was an opportunity missed here, because this isn't Zach Johnson's game. This isn't Zach Johnson's game. I want him getting 28 touches. You know that little kick-in thing that Essendon do, where they go kick in, back pocket, and then if Mason Redman's that back pocket, it's either going to be a 50-50 contest in the centre of the ground or a big long bomb to the Menders win so we can get membership revenue. I want Zach Johnson to be the next kick at halfback. So you chip it to him and you're like, right, you are the metronome. You are the conductor of the Essendon Orchestra. Use this kicking skill that everyone told me about. That's what's really important for me. So it's not his role, but look, does he get points? Absolutely not. Can he do it? Yes, but what's the point of buying this player and having this player in my team if he's not doing what he does? Because I'm glad Blake said that. Me and Fiona talked about this. Will Ashcroft, when he goes to Brisbane, they don't make him earn his stripes. They change Dunkley's role, right? So Will Ashcroft can do all the things he's good at. And Will Ashcroft, as a junior, hated chasing, hated the contest, loved being on the outside, getting the game going. They just changed the role. They say, Dunkley, you big lug, you're now going to have to tackle twice as hard because we got this kid here. The same with all their young players. Danny Annable. What does Danny Annable do? Oh, lo and behold, they move Lockie Neal to facilitate what he wants to do. The young players should be playing to their strengths and working on their deficiencies in training. So for me, that's a big thing. That's a big thing that we need to look at with Zach Johnson. What are his strengths? Work on his negatives. Play around his strengths. Otherwise, he doesn't play senior football.
Yeah. The one thing that Zach Johnson should not be tasked to do in that back line is one-on-one defend and be expected to win the contested ball in one-on-one contests. That is not his shtick. And you're right. If you're going to bring in it's a bit, and that's really on the coaches to be creative about how you can accommodate their strengths and how you can use them to their strengths. So that I'm giving a big miss to the coaches.
Yeah. And to bring it back to Mike Carlton, I am starstruck that they've obviously watched Jagger Smith's tape, because part of me thought we're going to do what we always do with him and just go, oh, you can win the ball. You're going to be Patrick Cripps with less biceps. Actually impressed the Blues worked out that Jagger needs to play loose. Same here, like, know your players, play them to your strengths. So, TL, I couldn't agree more. ZJ, Jacob Farrell, that's the future. Look at Sam Grill. Like, we're talking Richmond here, bottom 2 team. Right? I did a video the day before the game, and I said, if you play Sam Grill to his strengths, torches Carlton, because he likes space, he likes the ball on the outside, he likes to be the distributor. They changed their whole system to allow him to do that. So if Richmond can, we're building as a football club. Play your players to your strengths.
I just want to send a thank you to you, Sunstripe. I know you are very strong on what you say, but I just want to point this out for people who are blaming or may have blame on me and content creators, but me specifically, because I can't speak for anybody else. But there are things, if people actually watch the videos I did, I pointed out what I saw when I saw it. And this is one thing that we did continuously. And I think I even showed footage, right, of this Sunstripe of 5 Reds being sucked up to the ball continuously in one match sim. And this was something we did. This was a tactic that we had last year that I hated in sending an extra to the contest, because all we did at the contest was get sucked into the ball and the ball carrier, and our opponents predictably worked that out and sat just outside the contest. And when we didn't win the contest, they got a spilled ball and were on the outside quick smart. So sorry for that little bit of self-flagellation, but I reckon after a couple of days.
But it still is Fiona's fault. Don't blame Scott or the player's IQ. Blame Fiona.
Yeah.
God damn it, Fiona.
I know. A woman behind a microphone. How dare she? How dare she get this so fucking wrong?
You know what?
All my fault.
You know what on that? I'd love to know how many people in the chat have ever coached children any ball sport that is team-based. So I've had the privilege of coaching rugby and football, soccer, as you guys know it in my time, junior level. And every answer to why do they chase the ball all together without any structure comes back to the same thing, right? And that is, without a plan and without an understanding of what you're doing on the field, children will just be like moths to a light bulb with the ball.
Yeah.
It's when you pull them in and you say, look, little Johnny, you're a left back. Your job is to look to overlap the winger when we're attacking and he nips back in and defends for you. Or you stay on the left and you make sure the winger never gets a cross in, right? That's your job. And then when you get the ball, you do X, Y, Z with it. You look for this guy here. And once you teach them that, they stop chasing the ball. But bad coaches don't explain the roles. So they just follow the ball. That's a clear indicator in this game. And in my notes are the midfield, particularly, no clear defined role, apart from Zach Merrett, who seemed to understand what he was doing. But it was almost like 5 of them have been told, oh, when the ball's there, get it. But there's not a priority of, I've got to make sure that if you get it, I get this guy. There's more like, we just all got to get the ball. We've got to get the ball, all of us. And then when they did get the ball, there was 6 players on the back out for a cheeky little handball from Hawthorn, slingshot goal. So I do think a big part of it is education as well on these young players. I love that, Richard. I teach my kids not to listen to old people and then realise that I am old to them. So it backfires sometimes, mate. Be careful on that one.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm assuming 0 for Zach Johnson from you.
Unfortunately, ZJ, if you are watching, I love you though, brother.
I know. I love you so much, Zach. But this is another one like Archie Roberts. I don't feel this was his fault. That's the 0 is not your fault, but it is a 0. All right, on to the next baby. How did you see Jaden Nguyen's game? He always had. We probably see a little bit differently in terms of where we see him, but we probably agree on the Twix or no Twix. He had a tough job, and I do believe in his future. I think he's not just what you described to me today on the phone, but he didn't have a wonderful evening. He had some good moments, but probably not enough for mine to get a Twix.
This one makes what we've just talked about with the other 5 players even more bizarre, because Nguyen, what is he? Not a particularly good handballer, not a particularly good kicker, but by heck, he'll kill someone before they win the ball. So suddenly, this has answered your problems with Zach defensively. This has answered your problems with Mason Redman defensively, everyone else. You've got a guy here who's going to mop up for you if you're rubbish. I felt he was hung out to dry by some of the handballs that they give him. It was almost like no one had read the mandate.
But don't you feel like for him, probably for his game, sorry to interrupt you, Pom, but the reason I gave him a pass mark, aside from being a kid, was because most of the game I felt like we never made it hard for Hawthorn. They looked like they did it so easy, but I felt at least Jaden Nguyen was trying to make it hard for the forwards. Didn't always nail it, but he was trying by virtue of just simply putting his body on the line, really trying to close space on Guinea and Watson. I thought, again, he was just part of a backline that was under a lot of pressure and against a very good opponent. Because I don't expect precision handball and kicking from him. And I know he's really been working on his offense and to try and not just be that lockdown small defender. But I thought in a game that we actually had to try and show that we were up for a little bit of the fight, I thought he was one of a few who did look like that.
Yeah, for me, this one's just a fascinating one just from watching the backline of how it's set up. If you've got a player like Nguyen, he's not going to move the magnets offensively, but it does allow you to maybe take someone defensively weaker and let this guy be the grind, the hard guy, the guy that's going to back you up. So I find that really fascinating, that it felt like at times ZJ, McGrath, Redman, they were more important to do their defensive work. So then I'm like, why have you got Nguyen in then if you're not going to be a little bit more offensive with it? It's a fascinating conundrum. So I find it hard where to play him. Like, why he's in the team, because I don't think he's got any skill sets that wow me apart from, you know what, I'll be tough.
But he's a good lockdown defender and can arguably, showed last year that he could completely negate or half negate some very, very good small forwards. I think he was just let down by I'm
sure Brad loves him. I'm sure Brad loves him because watching Brad's midfield, he seems obsessed with containing instead of dominating. So I'd imagine that infects his backline as well. That, based on what I've seen over the last 6 games, I don't think Brad Scott knows that transition football's a thing. So, he'll probably froth Nguyen. He'd probably want 7 Nguyen's if he could. Oh, just stop people moving the ball. Don't matter about us doing it. So Look, he's what he is. Like I say about a lot of Carlton players, if you want him to win the BNF, it's never going to happen. But he's a good, honest, reliable footballer. But for him to be in the team for me, someone's got to go exciting. So he's defending it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. He still gets a 0 from me, but
he does.
I think
I do like him though. Like
personally, I think there is room. Sorry. Yeah, we'll have a beer with him at the end of the season and a Twix. This next guy, and I have nothing against him because he's a very lovely human being, but the preseason, I don't know where to start. Well, maybe you start because you're not as close to this.
You know what this is? This sometimes explains to me why good teams can dupe you into getting a player they've delisted. Because the natural thing, isn't it, is I agree with you. Like, I'm always wary of these players at Touche, people that have spelt their name wrong. Like, just call yourself Jason. You know what I mean? Or
no, they call Jackson so they can be called Jax, as in J-A-X.
Or spell Jackson with a C-K, you know, like a normal human being.
No, but that's Jack for short. This is Jax for short.
If you're a parent and you're naming your kids on nicknames, you're doing it wrong. But look,
welcome to the modern world.
But this is where I think list management sometimes is a bit nuanced, because I think the uneducated among us would go, right, okay, 8th best defender at Brisbane. They've got rid of him because they've got young players in. We've probably got a steal there because 8th best at Brisbane is probably best here. I watched this game and I could not believe he played nearly 40 games for Brisbane. I couldn't believe he's played over 20 games for Essendon. He looked shaky. He looked unreliable. He didn't look at all assured under the ball. This was a concern for me. Like, I watched Jackson Pryor and honestly, he was all arms and legs. It was a bizarre one. Yeah. Like, especially when we let Laverdy go, and Laverdy is quite strong for when you watch Laverdy at GWS at the minute, looking quite capable. It was a worry.
My biggest issue with him is he slows the ball movement in a team where we need to be getting some run and carry. And I think his kicking is quite good, and he's got quite a penetrating kick, but it's his ball use. And I would much rather either Archie Roberts in that role, if you're going to sacrifice him from developing in the midfield, or as Jonathan J. Dunks, you said earlier, I would bring Al Hooley in for that role, who has played 80% of the preseason in the backline, intercepting absolutely everything that came his way, and can also be proficient on the wing as well to deliver some run and carry and some drive. And cut the crap when it comes to Dursma. He is... Oh, my God, have I left Dursma off the list? Oh, we haven't done the forwards yet. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
See, my natural thing is that we
him.
forgot Dursma because he's a midfielder, for crying out loud. Anyway, Jackson Pryor, I don't know why. I suspect, Pom, that he's in the team because he's experienced, and we were the second youngest team by 4 months to West Coast this round. So I suspect he's maybe in the team for his experience.
Yeah, look, and that's what we said on the phone to each other, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of like Scott's thinking. Like, it's better to have a 60 gamer than a guy that might move the needle. My issue is, and this is very harsh on a guy that's 24 years old with so little games played, if you are in the backline, though, particularly in a backline that's under duress, you are nothing but assurity, confidence, and reliability. And Jackson Pryor under the high ball, my arsehole twitches. And when he's kicking, I'm praying I'm blind. Like, it's not reliable. And I agree with what you said about it slows the ball movement down. I've never seen a guy so reluctant to kick.
Yeah.
It takes him about 6 hours, which by that stage, Hawthorn have set their zones. They're all quite content.
Right.
So
that's right.
This is it.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Will, you're going to love me when we get on the forward line then, if you're saying that.
Oh, Will, don't egg him on for this guy. He's copped it. on the phone, I got an earful. Anyway, let's go to the first debutante, or the second, debutante after Sharpie in Max Kondogiannis. Very, very pleased that he got the call up. I had him just a smidge ahead all preseason in terms of maturity. So in comparison to Farrow, that is. And I thought he was really showed quite a bit in his few touches that he had around the ball. And I loved that his first contribution to the team was what got Dursma his first goal. He laid a little shepherd, which allowed Pryor was running on the wing, up the wing, and Kondo came in and allowed a little shepherd, did a little shepherd on the opponent. I can't remember the Hawks player, but it allowed Jacko to get just an extra couple of steps and then hit Dursma. So I just love that was his first contribution.
This one is fascinating again. I do wonder if Brad Scott reads the scouting report. I know his brother, from a very reliable source, the hottest source you can, usually says, I don't give a shit about what they can do. Can they play? And the guys will say, yeah, you can. And they're like, okay, cool. I'll wait to see him at training. I hope Brad Scott does read the pamphlet, though, because I'm so glad you've said it, Blake. This guy here, when he kicks the ball, angels sing. They come down with little harps. This guy has got a kicking action that melts hearts. Fascinating to see that his entire gig in caper this week was give the ball to people that I would perceive are worse kicks than this guy in flight. Seeing him have to play a very rigid lockdown role in the third quarter when his biggest knock at Oakley was the guy doesn't defend incredibly well. He plays loose. And
it's like Zach Johnson. It's like Zach Johnson. The last thing you kind of want them doing is one-on-one locking down, defending, watching. Yeah, they're quick. They've got quick feet. They really do, but it's used offensively and run.
I'm big on playing them to their strengths. Like, what do Essendon need to change? The ball is going to live in our back half of the ground. So our only hope and prayer, ironically, in 2026, is this ball gets moved. We're dangerous without the ball. We're set kicking here at your peril because Zachy J, Maxi K, they're going to cut you apart if them kicks are off.
Wrong.
And it's scary to watch, Fiona, watch this guy, because I'm like, this kid kicks, takes the game on. And we're making him... I don't know if Brad Scott hates him, but this is the worst place to play him. This is not the role I would have picked him for, but fair play to him. I thought he did incredibly well with what he was doing.
Does he get a Twix from you?
I'm going to give him a Twix purely because, look, I just think Max... I think Brad didn't realise what he's got at his hands. I mean, I would say the top three kicks in this backline are Zach J, Max K, and Redman.
Yep.
And only one of them got the kicking licence. Yeah. He's all right as well, yeah. But I would have said, but he was more in a negating role. It was quite a serious role, that, wasn't it? I don't really want him to have much fun. I felt these other guys could have tested their water. So,
all right, that does it for the defenders. That doesn't look quite good. That doesn't look good at all, does it? But anyway, all right, over to you, Tom.
Chat. I hear your reservations playing a lot of youth, but I'll also say this, and I said this to Fiona: how far has these older players got you? What, 14th, 15th? Is that what we set ourselves a standard as a football club with the history we have? Like, we're willing to take the AFL's prime fixtures like Anzac Day and represent that, but we're just going to want the older players in so the young players don't get hurt. But exactly what Blake said, Melbourne went bold. Like, everyone told me Melbourne were cut because they got rid of their senior players. But guess what? Young players play with fearlessness. The game is becoming less uncontested than it ever has been. We're down 15% at the minute on stoppages, so it's becoming even less irrelevant. By 2030, the old inside ball will be dead to this world. The younger players are playing in faster sports, more professionality. We're starting to see the rise of juniors playing every day. So for me, you've still got enough senior to play them senior roles. So, like, you've got Ben McKay, he can lead that back line. I would like to see McGrath go back onto the ball a little bit to protect these young kids. Let's wear him out a little bit. Let's work him out. But the young players should be getting the easy roles. So I'm not telling these guys to like be on the ball 24 hours a day. What I'm saying is that Archie Roberts should be 90% uncontested because we're fucking about giving him easy ball out the back. Gondo should be given the role of you're going to play on their most floaty forward. You're going to be a problem. When they kick it in, you're going to use God's given pace to get in front of him, get that ball straight up the middle, make them defend. Because the best way to defend nowadays is make them chase you, believe it or not. So for me, this is important. Like, we're going to get onto one player here. Brad Scott needs a resting for going into this game and going, one of the areas you can get Hawthorn is they're a little bit slap happy with attacking the ball, right, in the back half of the ground. So you get quite a lot of opportunities on the ground ball. And you go in with a child in Huss as your only small forward. Mental. Like, mental. Because you're asking to outmark them. They want to outmark you, though. They've got very good markers there. The problem is sometimes that ball, when he gets on the deck, meh. So a lot of questions I've got there. But look, I think you've got the list to play today. I always say this. Would you rather lose by 20 playing a brand of football that's going to lead you to 16th? Or would you rather lose by 100 playing a brand of football that in 2 or 3 years is going to win you a flag? I know which I'd rather do. Play a modern day, not play 1980s, oh, I used to be mates with Lee Matthews. How good's that? Which is what Brad Scott's doing.
Yeah, I can see what they tried to do in the theory was we should have won the midfield battle by a long shot on paper. Hawthorn had no right to be better than that midfield that we had. And the idea was to win it out of the centre and have such a lot of tall presence that one of them was going to be able to mark it. But the problem with that is Hawthorn are smarter than that and push an extra into the forward 50, into their D50 and help each other's defenders out. And our forwards do not play expansive football and do not separate. They congest in the one spot. But also, I know that they also make leads, multiple leads, and the kicker often gets them on their way back to the goal square and on their way back from making 2 leads. So there's just no fluency and connection between the lines in order to have a semi-functioning forward line. So I could see the theory, but, man, it was... And I put my hand up. I thought bringing in May was a good way to expose them aerially and to get that advantage. But I always thought it was going to be hard with just one small forward. That's why I didn't like the Archie Perkins. I would have gone a Guelphy and a Gresham. And I know they're not great, but they're still small and will give you a little bit more on the ground.
Big ups, Guelph. I know you're a big fan of the show, just for my weekly Rebs clip that I give you. But Fiona, I agree with you. You know what? When I looked at this team at the start, the thing that actually blagged my head was I was like, okay, Peter Wright's going to stay in the goal square. And that's probably a big way to beat Hawthorn. It's a big way to beat any intercepting side. Create as much separation from their fullback, from their interceptor.
Yeah.
To see Peter Wright working up the ground, I was like, someone's having a laugh, aren't they? Because Sicily's just going to follow and wait for that and intercept it. And he's going to be able to intercept it 75 metres up the ground. And he did. So that was weird. I want Peter Wright in the goal square, punching people in the ribs, inserting himself. He's going to have a lot of anger. He's a giant. You can see he's an angry specimen. So 100% get him in there.
Yeah.
Get him in there.
One thing that I said, and a lot of you will know if you watch the preseason videos, was Caddy spent most of the preseason tied to the goal square, and there was no letting him off the chain and letting him. I think once I saw him get up the ground in this Hawthorn game. That is the wrong setup for me. As you said, I would park Peter Wright in the goal square and I would have Caddy further up the ground so he can be creative and cause some chaos for the defenders and lose his opponent.
And when you don't have natural smalls, which I understand, like someone made the joke, you've got 1.5 in the forward line, which is fair. But look at, I would also disagree to an extent that your best small forwards with Durham, with Doz and Sharp, who aren't natural. forwards. But why did that happen? Because how small forwards need to work is you need to create space and separation and something for them to work in. When you have your full forward, this is always annoys me because people go, Geelong small forwards kick loads of goals, Pommy. Why can't Carlton be like them? And I'm like, well, quite simply, they keep a guy in the goal square, firstly. So it creates that separation. You've got Jeremy Cameron running as far away from him. All this pretty little space in behind that these guys can lead to. And that is a key to it. I want to see Nate Caddy work. If he is at full forward, working all the way up the ground. And then Peter Wright does a dummy lead to full forward. Create the cross. Crosses. I can't say his name. Jing Clurasawa.
Siracusa. Siracusa.
I needed the Italian to help me out. But I remember him saying that the weakness of the zone is crisscrosses, right?
Yeah.
And you see the top teams, they crisscross. They're full forward. Geelong do it all the time. Cameron starts in the goal square.
Yeah.
Henry, Neil starts centre half forward. They switch. Yeah. What it does is it creates a zone of, oh, shit, he's in my zone now, but you're the guy who's meant to be on him. Before you know it, everyone's like, and that stage, Stengel, Mears, they work in them spaces. Sean Manor, who's 12 years old, evidently, he kicks goals. That's what Essendon can replicate here. To do that, Peter Wright has got to play to his strength. Goal square, worry someone.
Yeah, agree. Completely agree. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
What a legend.
I know, trying to keep us all out of therapy, which I know, Scott. I know. I said I finally feel like I've coming up for air, but in a way, this is making it all worse. In a way, but anyway,
do that. You shouldn't.
The only way is up.
Because sometimes
it's fixable. It's all fixable, I guess.
Sometimes just facing the facts make it better. Like, these aren't big fixes. What we've suggested tonight. Like, I'm not saying remove 16 players. I'm saying, firstly, play players to their strengths might help. Mental, that. I'm a Carlton fan. We don't do that. Trust me, it's mental sometimes. Play players to your strengths.
Been saying this for 20 years, Atush. Always next year. I should get that tattooed. I should get that tattooed. So I just, that should be
maybe next year.
That should be on the membership card, maybe. Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if a membership was actually true? It goes, thank you very much, Fiona, for your membership, and then it just said #maybe next year.
Hey, there's something a bit called self-awareness, and if you can come to the party in terms of where you are, sometimes it's a little easier to swallow. Anyway, I think it's pretty safe to say that my big man gets a 0 from both ends. Nate Caddy, I love him, but Nate Caddy, it's hard to give him anything either, even though he's another one that I don't think it's his fault, but he probably didn't get into the game as much as he would have liked to, right?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I fell out with Ash Hansen at an event for something I'll say. So I'll say it now. See if the Essendon forward coach comes after me. But I genuinely don't think being a forward coach is that hard because the AFL is a copycat league. All the top teams show you how to do it, and all you've kind of got to do is put the pieces together. Forward structure is quite easy because the good teams move the ball quickly, which creates natural one-outs and the zone can't set. But there is some principles that apply. Nate Caddy, God didn't bless him with super size, super strength. God blessed him with an oversized body. He's not a giant, but he's not normal size. An incredible pace, start pace. I want this guy leading up the ground. I want this guy being the conduit. For some reason, seeing Carl Langford be the conduit, see Peter Wright be the main target in centre half forward, blags my head. So he's such a good player. Like Nate Caddy is the modern day key forward. This should be our main target. So I agree. I listened to all your pre-season, Fiona, and I was genuinely thinking maybe they're just making him be a little bit more honest, working hard. But then when the season starts, he's going to unleash. Yeah. And I watched it and I was like, oh, no, Fiona actually saw their game plan.
as much as people yelling at me, it's my fault. I did try to tell you. And there's also a piece of it, like, I don't want to keep it all doom and gloom and depress you all. I want to tell you some of the good stuff they're doing. And he did have some really good match sims when the mids were lowering the eyes and he was making some good leads, but it was always from the goal square. It was never him working up the ground, being creative, causing chaos. I spoke to Peter Wright about it when I interviewed him. I said the beautiful thing about him is his unpredictability to opposition, but he really wasn't given any chance. And I hope we let him off the hook a little bit more. So does he get a 0?
Yeah, look, unfortunately. His pre-season game I really enjoyed as well when he played, who did you play? Richmond. Because he came out of the 50 quite a bit and linked up.
Well, yeah. But again, the opposition probably wasn't like it
100%.
wasn't it wasn't in match sim. The opposition wasn't putting a lot of work into him.
Yeah, but when he was working up the ground, I really enjoyed. I was like, oh, okay, this could work.
Oh, because, yeah. On the occasions that he did,
dragging people away.
That's right, and he causes chaos because I don't even think he actually knows what he's doing either. Because he just goes on gut instinct. There's no plan to it. There's no real structure or methodology to it, and that's the beautiful thing about it. And if that's a bit unpredictable to your own teammates, because usually there's something happens from it. So I think I think they tried to put him too much in a box for my liking, and that is pretty much by keeping him in the goal square. Okay, on to this next guy. I need you to just go easy. This guy is a baby in terms of his AFL football life. And I think it's very strange that you've gone after him in my eyes.
I didn't go after him. Look, chat,
I've thrown him under the bus here.
Defend me. I did say I didn't know that you could be 198 and 100 kgs of muscle and play like you're 168 and 70 kgs. This one here, see what I said about Blackiston? Subiaco, Archie May, I'm a big fan. I like what I saw in the waffle. But before you know it, you are working at the front desk of Ozpost. It can pass you by. First one in, first one out, right? Last one in, first one out. I watched this game and I'm like, Jesus, man, would it kill you to impact, crash into someone, be a little bit fucking tough, bash some heads, be hard, be at it. I didn't see it. It actually hurt my brain, Fiona, and it might be harsh. Maybe I'm expecting too much, but you ain't going to be there very long. This ends before you know it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it reminded me of it felt like he didn't want to be there.
No, I wouldn't say that.
So well,
no.
Fiona, because he stuck up for your boys. He stuck up for your boys. But like I said to you, having that physicality off the ball is great if it attacks the ball. Like, he was willing to stick up for his men, wasn't willing to attack that ball. Fair.
Absolutely fair. I don't think it was at all like he didn't want to be there. I think he lacked, I don't know, a bit like Zach Reed forgetting that his body knows how to play football. Archie May forgot that he's a big brute of a guy. And if you're not able to contribute via goals and marks, hurt some people, use your body. So I
remember him a lot when he played for the Tigs, right? I remember, and he would just climb up the back of people. There was some times where he even pulled out of when I say he didn't want to be there, I mean this with respect. I know he wants to be there, and it's an incredible honor. It just felt like he didn't want it. And I mean, he didn't want it enough. To quote the great Neil Warnock, in my opinion, I want my footballers to die to get 4 points. That's how much it means to them. They will bleed out. That's how much it means. And I felt like he played very within himself.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, Will, what he's done to your puppy or something, or an animal or a pet, but we get the point.
Will. I like Will. Man after my own heart.
No, we all agree, but how many games has he played? Pom, you got it in front of you?
I'd say
I'm putting more of the onus on a Peter Wright than I am on an Archie May.
100%. I'm putting onus.
I'm putting onus on this next guy as well. He's played 8 games. 8 games in a dysfunctioning forward line. What an introduction to AFL football do you get? All right. This next guy.
I'm sure you're a great guy, Archie. Archie, if you ever come over this, I do love you though, but bro, run into the back of someone, big lad. Right. But Carl Langford, again, this is a real weird role right now. Maybe I'm harsh on Langford. I thought it was amusing because I remember listening to Fiona's first practice vision that she took. And she talked about that he was playing out of the forward line, being the link up between the mid and the forward, right? And I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Like, I'm intrigued by this because when I think of Langford, I don't think particularly good field kick. Like, these things don't ring off the bell to me. I don't think, oh, Carl Langford's the guy I want.
No, that's fair. Yep.
So watching him, I was like, what I like about Langford is, and we've covered Langford ad nauseum against Carlton because these are the types of clowns that kick 8 against Carlton. So I am very wary of a guy that I don't rate massively. So I actually think Langford should be, if he's playing in there as a goal kicker, it's an awkward size matchup. I want Nick Caddy doing this job, being the link man, getting up the ground.
Preach.
But watching this game is why I don't rate Langford with all due respect. I think he's got the killer instinct. He's a bit like Liam McMahon. I can't tell you why it works, but it does work. Because you watch Liam McMahon, he's doing incredible for you last year. But Macca doesn't run particularly hard. He looks very unassuming, but by heck does that guy take a grab and kick a goal. He doesn't do much else, but that's all he's got to do. Langford kind of reminds me of that as well. It just works, but I don't know why it works. But when you give him a role that requires a little bit of footy IQ, this guy failed on, I'm smarter than a 4th grader, didn't he, in footy IQ?
Yep. Poor.
So 0 points.
0 points for me too. I thought he didn't have many looks, but the looks he did get, I thought he played for a few free kicks. And I thought, you're a leader. You don't need to be doing that shit. I know it's frustrating not having any contribution, not being able to contribute in the way that you want to. But I thought, he let the young forward line down. So that's why I'm putting more at the door of him and Peter Wright than I am Archie May. He's the least of my worries, even though I think he's probably going to be dropped for next week. But let's move on to our final. Can we just
pause a sec to cover Blake? Because you said this to me. Do we really think in the pre-game Essendon were like, we'll win all the clearances?
Yeah, I think they did. I really think they did.
Or
majority, really? Maybe not all. That's not all. That all is ridiculous, but I think
but have a set, like, because genuinely, if someone had said that to me pre-game, I would have laughed. With respect, I would have said it could have broke even. I could have seen a world where it was broken even, but I don't think I would have said odds on favourites Essendon. I would have still backed Hawthorn's midfield to overrun you.
No. After seeing what GWS did on paper in also the preseason game they played against
Fiona.
Yeah, but they had a their second-rate midfield as well.
Or like if you told me Carlton were going into this game thinking they would dominate Hawthorn's midfield, I'd be like, structure always beats strength.
Yeah, system. Yeah, they've got a good system. That's why they don't rely on a whole heap of A graders because they don't need it. Their system is so sound. So yeah, maybe it was completely. It was a very vapid way of assuming that we were going to win that. But I think the center is where everyone thought we were going to get ascendancy. Definitely.
Yeah, and I agree with Blake. Like, you did do incredibly well last year in that midfield, but like I would also say that like clearances and contests now are becoming so under-important. Like, this game's fascinating that your contested possessions are identical and things like that. Yeah. Like, so it's becoming less and less poignant. Your ability to remove and move the ball quickly. I'd still say that Hawthorn would back themselves that even if you won that clearance battle, they would play the extra behind the ball set up a trap and they just hurt you on the counter. So, yeah, it's interesting because me and Fiona were talking about this. She said that. I said I would rather play a midfielder, extra midfielder or an extra half forward in this game. But, yeah, it's weird. Like, yeah, okay, weird. Fair enough. Chat, you've educated me.
No, I'm not saying it was the right call, but I think that's what they thought.
No, I was just hoping you were doing copium. I didn't realise the chat would go, no, 100% Brad Scott thought we'd kill him.
I mean, look, none of us know, but no one knows for sure.
The vibe. I just thought it was copium, so I didn't want to tell Fiona she was stupid because I was like, if she's dealing with it this way, let her have it. Let her have it. Like, let her believe that. It'll make her day.
I can't believe you thought I was stupid and you didn't tell me at the time.
Sometimes I do it, Fiona. Like, I just have this stupid idea out and it makes me feel better, even though it's stupid. I'm like, maybe Voss did really believe Brodie Kemp is the best key forward in the league. Maybe he thought that. And it just made me feel better.
I think it is quite self-aware because I was quite sure that we weren't going to win in the bookend. So I thought, all right.
Fair enough. Like genuinely.
In the middle it is. Anyway, let's move on.
I'd love to be in a tactical briefing now just so Brad Scott could look me in the eyes and goes, it's all right, Pommy. We'll dominate out of the centre. And I'd be like, is he being serious?
Yeah. TL, you might be right. You could be right. We'll wait and see. But let's move on to the third debutant who the poor baby had it tough, didn't he? And you know what? He can thank the only reason he got his goal, Pom, is he can give a little handshake to Mr. Archie May for his goal. So he had a really tough day, but we saw
shout out as well to Toph. He was in our watch along and he was struggling. So I'm glad to see you here, mate. Much love to you. I felt so sorry for all of you having to watch this. But you know what I liked about Huss? Can I give a shout out? His family, he had about 800 people there, and they kept panning to him, right? Every time something happened, like when he laid tackle. I have never seen so many family members invested in their family. Like they were. Like the dad, I think it was the dad, one of the older ones, when they showed you the image of him making that tackle, like the dad was recreating the tackle, like living it. And I was like, oh, I love this. I love
They love football. They love footy. They are so proud of him.
Great to watch.
So wholesome.
But you know what? Brad Scott panning time, right? You all told me off, some of you in the chat saying, Pom, you can't give too much responsibility to kids. Right? I'm not saying you give them the responsibility. I say you give them priority and the older players do the hard stuff. I cannot believe a guy that just got on an AFL list in the biggest game of the season, which round one is, the first game at the G, everyone has their belief. You would say to him, you are our only small forward against an incredible football side in Hawthorn. And guess what? We've got no bugger to learn from. So you're on your own, Huss.
I know. Isn't it awful? How horrific. When you lay it out like that, that is horrific. That is the stuff of nightmares.
And it's why I was critical of Kako last year, because if you remember what I said, I was so envious of Kako that he couldn't hide in the VFL. He had to learn under the bright lights, 90,000 at the G, cameras, Fox Footy, everyone analysing him. He couldn't have a stinky game away at Footscray. He was doing it as a man in the men's league. As I always say, you get paid like a man. I expect you to play like a man. And Huss symbolised that. I thought for a young child, who he is, he's a kid. I thought his maturity and his way he went about it, what a footballer. What, like, genuinely incredible that he did that. Like I was shocked. That was his first game. I thought he handled himself better than a lot of these so-called senior players. He was incredible. His maturity. Didn't make many mistakes, worked hard.
I mean, there's lots to learn, but I just think no small forward, let alone one on his first game, as a 18-year-old, it would have been hard for any small forward out there alone with no support and no other small presence down there helping you out at ground level. And the beauty of his work throughout the preseason was the dynamism of him and Kako's work and the 1-2 and the chemistry that they built. And yeah, I think he did a really good job considering what he was left to do there alone. So,
you know what? I'm going to surprise people. Based on what he's got, I gave him 1 vote. And
I did give him 1 vote too.
I like a charity vote purely because I think incredible. Like,
yeah, I think what he had to do, in the context of what he had to do, and it's a bit like the Kondo point that I gave. I think he held up really well. I can't say the same.
Well, I don't know how you feel to go with Nuffy. I'd love to see Kako and Gresh and go hard on the smalls. Because
it's a yes from me.
Yeah, I was intrigued because I was like, he's not going to get the best small defender if Cax is there, if Gresh is there. So
exactly.
I think it's going to be an easier. I liked his energy though. There's something about him. I don't know what it is. I remember his best mate in juniors, right? And he's now at Fremantle, so we don't talk about him. But yeah, he was very good. But there's something about this guy.
He's got an energy, and it's there's something very vivacious about him as a person, and that just spills over when he gets onto the field. He kind of just is unconditionally himself. He's not an introvert at all. And you watch when you see him and Kako together, it's a different party. It's a totally different party. But anyway, let's move on to the next guy who I believe is going to be on an absolute naught party, talking about parties. I don't understand.
We had an argument about this guy, just so you know.
Huh?
We had an argument, didn't we, about this?
I mean, we did, but we also were kind of arguing the same thing. So we argued and then we ended up in the same conclusion. But this was a puzzling selection for me, mainly for selection, but also for balance, but also because of his preseason. I thought that he didn't have a preseason that warranted a selection. What were the coaches trying to do with this selection, Pom?
Look, I don't want to pick on Cal Toomey. I'll give you the quote that made me and Fiona fall out. But a player that builds his game around Nat 5, Dustin Martin, and Patrick Dangerfield, that would be like my wife going on Facebook and saying Pom's basically Brad Pitt. The only similarities are we're both male and we've got working faces, but it's a very loose way to describe us. Archie Perkins is everything I hate about football. Right, is that in his draft, he was kind of a midfielder, kind of a forward line. Do you know what I mean? And then I watch him and I'm still there. I'm kind of like, what are you? Like, you're kind of a forward, maybe a bit of a midfielder. I don't think he has the physicality needed to be a point of difference in the seniors. Yeah, this. Full caveat, I'm not team Jade Gresham. I find him the most frustrating footballer to watch, but I just don't think Perkins has it. And this sounds really horrible. I just feel like he is bang average.
It's so disappointing. It's very disappointing.
It was the COVID draft, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I hope we're sitting here in 50 games time or in 50, not games. Well, if he's getting 50 more games, then hope it's better than what it's been. But in a few months' time, and he's turned it all around, because it would just be so disappointing. He's built like a footballer. He's built like he could be that. I know you were getting really, really defensive of the comparisons, but he is built that way. It's undeniable, but he's just the shell of it. So
Dustin Martin. Oh dear!
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Don't make me make you ring Dusty and say sorry like that.
Excuse me. Don't take words out of my mouth. I said the mold. Dustin Martin is the mold. He's nowhere near. He's not even. Ridiculous to put him in the same sentence. But
yeah, they've both put football boots on. I totally agree.
All right.
You know what scares me is Richard's point as well. We are talking about a 102 gamer.
Oh, that is just mind-boggling to me.
I feel like Archie Perkins reminds me of a lot of Carlton players. He looks nice, doesn't he? Like, I look at Archie Perkins and I'm like, if I had a sister and she brought Archie Perkins home, I know he's going to look after her. I'm really glad to call him a brother-in-law. He looks a nice stand-up guy. I reckon I'd enjoy his company. But we are talking professional football, 102 games, and I have no fucking idea what you are. That's a problem. Like, we should be talking about prime of his career. Like, when we talk about Dusty, Danger, Nat 5, this is year 6 of his career, isn't it? Yeah, year 6. We were talking about all Australians. Are they the best? People were more writing articles. Are they better than Gary Ablett Jr.? Like, Archie Perkins.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is Archie Perkins a very good player in Cats colours, Richmond colours, Sydney colours?
He'd have a better chance. But then again, so would I.
That hurts. Like, yeah, true. Yeah, okay, true. All right.
But genuinely,
let's.
No, all I'll say is year 6, we write articles like, them players are the next Gary Ablett. It would be offensive to write an article saying is Archie Perkins the next Nathan Ablett at the minute.
Yeah, okay. Poor Archie. All right, let's go on to the lucky last. The guy that we all agree, not one person disagrees. We never agree on one thing ever, except here and now and everywhere. If you have eyes and a brain, this guy, get him on the wing. He can rest for it every now and then, but get him back on the wing where he belongs. Please, for my mental health, I beg of you. He gets a 1 from me because I thought he did some very nice things. Pom, any word on this?
Since doing this game with you, the game with you, that I call it a game, but this is serious stuff, the ratings. This is more important than the Brownlow. But I'll be honest, there is about 7 players on your list that I genuinely thought were bang average footballers, and I didn't care. They could live a long, happy life or die tomorrow. I wouldn't care. Xavier Dursma.
That's a bit harsh.
No, but it's just genuinely, I just see footballers as pawns in a game to watch. Xavier Dursma is one of them players that I just thought, oh, he's that idiot who does that, right? Absolute overrated. I genuinely have fallen in love with Xavier Dursma. Like, he's my boy. Like, he makes me happy. And you know what? I thought he was sensational this game. The work rate, the running back, the never giving up chase. My eyes have been opened. I love a little bit of Xav. I think he's such a talent. And yeah, I agree with you. Like, I felt like he was what I've been complaining about. The over 23s. These guys have got to show something. I felt like Xavier Dursma to me showed me, 1, the standard is expected of this football club, and 2, how to play for Essendon Football Club. He never gave up. What a human being.
No sulking that he's not playing in his preferred position. He was like made to watch Sicily for a few times in the game, and it was just head down, bum up. He didn't get enough ball, of course, because he was stuck down there a lot of the times, but he just put his head down, and I think he's a really good leader. I know we don't talk about him in terms of the leadership group, Essendon fans, and he's not really ever spoken about in that way, but I really do think he's a really good leader, and I thought he had a really good game. Somebody mentioned, I think, Blake, the mark. He's doing that all preseason and has done it all his career, body on the line, as courageous as they come. He's not the guy I look at and think, oh, yeah, you can put your body on the line because you can hurt some people, but yet he does it, and I need him back on the wing, honestly. So, Pom, are you giving him any points, or how many points?
2 points. And you know what? I understand what it is to play for Essendon when I watch him. Like that to me is how I expect all the young kids in this team. No matter how much you hate the role, no matter how much you hate the job you've been given, when you go out there, you are playing for 90,000 people. That this is their family, this is their life, this is what they care about. What a credit to the football club. Like, what a credit. He is. What a brave young man. I loved him. Makes me happy, man. Like I said, I came into this, didn't care anything about Essendon players. They were just footballers who I analysed. Like he's grown on me massively. Like I would get a.
I'm digging this. I'm digging this bromance, Pom.
No, honestly, like because when I want my players to go out there, I want you to make me feel proud and make me feel like I belong to something. I feel like he brings that in abundance. He would do anything to win the game.
Yeah.
He cares.
Agreed. All right, Pom. We now come down to we each get a 0.5, a half a Twix, a half a Chocky Bar to add to someone's score here. Is your half chat? Who do you think should get there? What did you call this half? It was like a bonus. What did you call it when we spoke about it?
Yeah, look. I think this half should be given to someone that just made you happy, like someone that you feel like
the vibes.
I don't want to be cliche, like the Spirit of Essendon Award. The guy that when you left, and this is important, this game, when you left and you wanted to burn all your Essendon merchandise and you unsubscribed from the Essendon mailing list, you just thought of that one moment this player did. Yeah. You just thought of this one play and you were like, nah, I'll go back next week. He seems all right.
All right. I know mine is made up in my head. It's not on this list. Is yours on this list?
He is actually, but go on.
Chat. We'll give chat a few seconds to give their thoughts on who deserves, I guess, a half a chocolate for the vibes, right? Whilst they're making their decisions, let's give you this question from Jonathan. Is this a chance to happen? He played a pretty good game for Kangaroos on Sunday, and if they keep going that way, he might not want to leave.
Yeah, you see, I think Zane is another guy that the problem is when you play for a team that's bad, you can be overhyped very quickly. And when you don't quite reach that level, they bring you down. I always thought Zane in junior levels needs a lot of the ball. And the problem is with small forwards, you saw it with Dodverston this year. Small forwards aren't used in link-up play. Small forwards are plonked in the forward pocket, make something happen. And then if you're lucky, you get to be Cosy Pickett and get to go on the ball. I actually like the fact they've brought him back, Super Dunk. So to answer your question, when I look at your biggest weakness, it's the same when I look at Carlton's backline. When I look at Carlton's back six, I just go, okay, Wheatering's a nightmare to beat, but the rest of them, they can have the ball 100 times. Who cares? It's the same with your team. I look at your halfback lines. I'm like, okay, Redman's going to get the ball a lot. Wrigley's going to get the ball. They don't scare me, though. Like, they can have the ball 40 times. They won't do anything with it. I think Zane is an option there. I kind of like the idea. Maybe I'm getting old. Wouldn't it be great to see Willem Dursma and Zane and Xavier?
That's what I think. Then I want the trio. If Zane comes, do
you know what I mean?
Until I get the set.
It does look pretty. It does look pretty, doesn't it? But no, I like Zane. I hope he breaks into that team. And I think Clarkson's done very well at shifting players around. But I think he's an option for you guys. I do think you need a little bit of raw pace. He's quite a nippy kid, Zane. A very quick player.
All right, Pom, who are you giving your half a Twix bonus to? And remember, the halves can make or break come the Twix low at the end of the year. So,
look, my Essendon brother, I'm going to give it to Big Hoss. I really enjoyed.
Oh, cute.
Debut, only man who's below 8'2", playing the hardest position in football. I really enjoyed the fact that he chased till the end, and I think that's a good sign.
Yeah. All right. Well, mine is not on this list. However, it is going to take me a full 3 minutes to get the actual line up back on the screen. So I'm just going to tell you my half a Twix goes to very easily. I know a lot of you are saying Sharp, and yes, he's my guy and he holds a big place. And it brought me happiness, his first goal, but my half a bonus goes to Ben McKay because I'm still smiling internally at the game he had. And I will hold all the applause for that he hasn't got. I will hold it all in my heart and I will project it his way in the ethos. in the quantum field, enough for everybody. So he will finish on 4.5, and I believe he will 100. Who had money on Ben McKay ending this show in round 1 with the most points? Twix. Who had money on that? Nobody.
Maybe Mummy McKay. Maybe
Mummy McKay, and that is probably about all. So.
He was very good, to be fair, Fiona. Like I agree with you. I think that's a fair half. He was fantastic under duress as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we might leave. Hey,
who've chat picked?
Chat mostly. I saw a lot of sharps. Definitely saw a lot of sharps. Blake also said Huss or Dursma. Yep, easily could have got it. Yeah, put me on a wing. I've got a bung knee and a very sore lower back, but I would give it my all. That's something I would give. I would never drop my head. I'd be crawling to the finish line, but I'd be out there.
Love to see that.
I think nowadays, my knees just put me in a forward pocket and I'll help Huss out, I reckon.
You see, I've said that to Carlton loads. Like, the content creators have a lot to say. I think they should invite content creators to pre-season training just to see how hard it is.
To do it?
Yeah, like I said to the club. But I've talked a lot of smack about them players. I would be more than happy to sign waivers for 2 hours. They can pay me back for whatever I've said to them. Like,
Pom, I don't think there is enough osteos in the world to help
be fair,
you with
you've never been mean to them, so like you'll be all right.
Possibly. All right. Yeah, you what were you saying? You had money on it? As if you did. You were you Atush. I reckon you've said some bad words about both McKays. Don't lie.
He's definitely his brother. Yes.
All right.
We might get leaked. Definitely.
I believe you. We might leave it there. Pom, as usual, you are absolute delight. You are much loved in this community, and definitely tonight. Thank you so much for being the legend that you are, and the pseudo. And the pseudo. Where's the 15? I thought you were getting 15 on that.
I've got the other ones in there. These are look. I got baby-sized ones. Look, so they go here.
Yeah, okay.
Because adult ones in my background look like a skirt. They look huge.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. What was I saying? I've lost it now. We've been here for a while. But anyway, I love you, Pom. I love you, chat. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. It's been a fun time. Hopefully you're all feeling a little bit softer and a bit more fluid in yourselves after having a bit more of a therapeutic chat. Although there are a lot of zeros on this scoreboard tonight that I would prefer a lot of them get filled next week. Who knows what we're going to get, but I will see. You'll have a preview out tomorrow. Scott from the Lunchtime Catch-Up podcast joined me this week for a preview, and when both of us get together, we can talk about footy for hours. It was a long one, but it was thorough, and we spoke about the Hawthorn game and also the Port game, so I'll drop that for you tomorrow, and then see you all back here live Thursday night for the team selection show and a representative of Port Adelaide fan content creation space. So that'll be fun again too. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, take care. Pommy, last words.
Go and get them 4 points against them Port, the shit version of the Adelaide side. Go and get that 4 points. We'll be giving 5 next week, willy-nilly, after the 20-point win.
Please, if you all could like the video on your way out, that would be much appreciated. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. But otherwise, much love, and I'll see you later in the week.
Go Bombers.